Alright, so now we assume that you've put the engine, the motor in the rocket, and you've taped the igniter to the side. The next step is we pack the parachute. The reason why I put the engine in first is because the way we built this, if you don't have an engine in, when you put some fire retardant material in, it'll fall through. So this way the rocket is sealed and you can put the fire retardant. So the first thing, this cloth here protects the parachute. It will get black on one side if you always fold it the same way, but it'll protect the parachute from the injection charge. What I like to do, and what I've learned through the Rocket Club, the common name of this is dog barf, is what they call it, but really what it is, it's just regular blown insulation that you put in your attic. If you look, see me show this, Tara. And the main thing, it has a fire suppressant in it, so if you try to light it and burn it, it just smolders, so it doesn't catch fire. And so we're, class 1 fire rating, UL certified. So that's all it is just basically recycled paper. So I carry a Ziploc bag. If you don't want to buy a big bundle of that, I would suggest go to Lowe's. That's where I got it. Maybe they got a bag that's been punctured, got a hole, and just tell them you want some. So anyway, the first thing you do is just take, some hand of this. You've got the shock cord completely pulled out, and you basically put some of this on top. Basically what you're trying to do is just get a layer of this covering the entire top centering ring where the motor mount is. So you just kind of put that down in there. So now you've got this layer of stuff that also, when it ejects, it'll help push the parachute out. So that's what you do, and you basically zip lock this back up. So the first step is you pull out your shock cord. You should have your orange parachute protector tied off on a loop on the shock cord about a third of the way. As we said, you've got the nose cone terminated at this end with a slip knot and the masking tape, and then you got your parachute. So assuming all this is hooked using one of the couplings, you basically pull the parachute so that all the ends are pretty much the same, and you pull it out like so. You open the chute up until it's a half circle. Okay, now there's a lot of different ways to fold a parachute, but I will tell you, I have seen more problems with chutes not opening up than any mistake on the field. And in fact, I've had more chute failures than I've had any other problem with motors, anything. And what happens is the chute is packed too tightly and the injection charge can't pull it out, and basically the rocket will come down to the ground like a dart. So you start with the chute and you line up the points where the strings come out. You can see they're lined up, and basically you get a point at the top, at the very top, and you fold it over all the way like that on the first set. You make another pie shape on this side, again coming to the apex. You then take this piece with the cords, fold it over until it matches up with the next set of cords. Same way over here, match it up. You then come to the middle, come to the middle like so. And what you do is you just basically take all the cords about halfway and you bring them into the center of the chute, and then you start folding it over like this, and that's what you end up with. So all the cords inside, and this next fold is what we call a Z fold. You put your hand here, you get the top, you come over your hand, you can see it kind of makes a Z, and that's the chute. So you take the chute protector, you lay it out, you put it in, and you roll it basically like you're rolling a burrito. You put it in on the corner adjacent to where it's connected. You start rolling. You want to roll this kind of tight. Roll it tight. You get a roll, bring it over, roll, 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 roll like that. The idea is you should roll this to where it's smaller than the diameter of the tube. And then what I do is I make sure this is not tangled. You can see I've got a twist in here. Get the twist out while you're holding it. And basically the end near the nose cone, you just loop it around one time like that. Okay? So that is the parachute tied up. So now what you do is you start feeding the shock cord back into the rocket, but feed it in the order opposite of how it would come out. So you just slowly feed it in, kind of like letting it kind of lay upon itself. I find this better than just, you know, balling it up and shoving it. This keeps it from getting tangled up. So you're basically putting it into the rocket in the opposite order of what it would pull out. So the idea is nothing's kinked up. You keep feeding it in, feeding it, and when you get to the parachute, you keep the end with the nose cone. You just push it in like so, and you should see the parachute is pretty loose in there. I was misled in the early days. People tell me you need to pack this to make a pressure fit, almost like packing a muzzle loader. And I had a lot of failed attempts and found from a guy who really knew what he was talking about, said that was not the case. He said you're pressurizing through the injection charge to kick out the nose cone, but the nose cone, once it comes out, should be coming out at such a speed that it actually yanks the parachute out. So you don't want any resistance of the chute coming out of the tube, and then it will, the way we fold it, will open up. So basically you put the everything's inside, you push the tube on. Now the last thing you need to adjust, and the reason why I keep this as part of the parachute, is with temperature the fit between the nose cone and this tube will change depending on if it's hot or cold outside. The rule of thumb is you should be able to pick up the rocket with the engine in it by the nose cone. You can see here it will not do that. That's the purpose of the tape. You take some blue tape and you put some blue tape on there. It's always hard to do this on camera. Put the tape on there, and so now when you put it on, it should be a tighter fit. Now I can pick the rocket up with the nose cone, but if I shake it, you should be able to shake it and it come loose. That's roughly the fit that you want. In other words, if you push it straight on, you can pick it up. But if you pick it up and shake it, it comes off. That's the fit you want. If you can't pick it up, the nose cone is too loose, chances are it could blow off with the wind. If you can't shake it off, it's too tight, and you may get a false parachute and have a rocket come down nose first. So at this point, the rocket parachute's loaded. You got your fire protection there. You got your parachute wrapped. You got your engine mounted. You got your igniter taped to the side. So you go out to the pad. You line your quarter-inch rod with your two guides. You put it down. In the next section I'll show you how to hook this up to the launch pad. Okay, so now we've loaded the engine, we've packed the parachute, and now I'm just going to show you a setup at the launch pad. So I've set part of a pad here with a short section of quarter-inch rod. You basically lower the rocket down through the two guides. You can see the quarter-inch rod's larger. And the basic pieces of a pad You have something to support the rail or the rod securely. Most of them are 3 legs. By the rules, you need some kind of deflector shield. So the idea is when the propellant comes out, it's going to be diverted away rather than going straight down to the ground and burning the ground and damaging the pad. So I've got 2 deflector shields here. I like to keep the rocket off the shield. In other words, if I take these 2 clips out, it sits right down. So it's kind of hard to work on. So we use a lot of clothespins as the main initial point of contact. So you got wood, a soft surface. And if you got a lot of weight, you use like one of these type of paper folder clips. You just put it on there on the rail and it holds it up. So there's the rocket on the rod. You've got your igniter leads that you had taped to the side. So the launch controller, which I'll go without, is here. You got 50 feet of wire, so if you imagine this pulled out 50 feet away. What I like to do is at the pad, I like to roll a couple windings of this where the alligator clips are. Again, the blue tape comes in handy. So it's just good to kind of keep everything where it'll stay in the order that you want. So I just put a few pieces of blue tape here to hold it in place. You take the igniter wires off with the blue tape. You pull it out, being careful not to pull against the motor. And I always like to kind of wrap it around maybe one time so that you're not pulling against the motor like that. So now you've got the excess. If you remember, we tie these 2 together. So you separate those 2 out. You make sure that on the launch controller the safety switch is removed. No one's touching the controller. You've disconnected the power when you're out at the pad. Assuming there's no connection, you can get this kind of closed tear. Clip the alligator clip there, and then you wrap the wire around the alligator clip like that. And you should have enough leads that can go around 4 or 5 times. Like that. You clip it right just where the insulation stops. And you take the remainder, go around the alligator clip. And you don't want these touching, so I always bring them up here and maybe put some blue tape here so they don't move around. Sometimes wind can do some funny things. If you're worried about a short, just get some blue tape and put this around the contact points like that. I don't necessarily do this. I'm pretty confident when I'm out at the pad that I've got the wires cinched where they're not going to touch. But if you're concerned, you can tape them like so. That way you know they won't touch any metal or touch themselves. So at that point you have a rocket ready for launch. At the actual pad, you have the controller and you have a power source. You can either use a car battery or lawnmower battery. In this case, the kit comes with alligator clips, so you can clip that to a lawnmower battery or the car battery. I made my own cigarette piece because my battery has a slot for a cigarette 12 volt. So you put that on, you just plug it in, and I made a connection. You connect this part to here, and that's the battery source. So I don't have mine connected because I was going to launch the rocket. But basically the way you do it is you push the key in from the side. When you push in, you should see all red, so it goes from green to red. That means it's armed. When you push that button, it will launch. So what you should do So you get all hooked up, you tell everyone clear, you look around, you make sure there's no aircraft, anything coming into your airspace. You push the safety switch in, you count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you push the button and it launches. Make sure you announce that we're launching. You announce the countdown, make it loud where everyone can hear you. You push the button, if everything goes well, it leaves the pad. You have a successful flight. When you go back out to the pad, you'll still have the yellow wire attached to the alligator clips. You'll probably see the cap from the engine. You basically remove all that, throw it away, and you're ready to go again. If the alligator clips get rocket residue on it, just have some fine sandpaper and just kind of sand them up if you want to get good contact. So that's the setup and the launch sequence from the pad. Okay, so that concludes the instructions, and hope everyone enjoys their flight. The Initiator is a good rocket. It was our first rocket graduating up to the mid-levels. It was the first rocket I ever shot reloads with. So I think you'll have a good time. Now the only thing, I'm going to show you a video. It was actually the first time we shot this rocket after I made all the modifications. I built it per the kit, and it was built to run Aerotech motors, and I had a lot of problems with that. So I did the conversion, which is a lot harder to do after you've built the rocket, and we used the CTI, and in this video you're going to see is the first time I launched it, and the reason why you hear a lot of cheering in the background, we'd gone through a lot of complications with this rocket, so I was kind of getting a little worried that maybe I never was going to get a successful launch. So we were pretty excited when we did it. The thing I want to point out though is this flight in this video is using the exact same engine that I put in this rocket in the video. It's the 57F59 White Thunder. And the thing I want to emphasize, the White Thunder displaces all its power very suddenly. So in the video you'll see a slow motion section where actually the launch pad that I was shooting this off was not adequate for this powerful engine. You can see how much it flexes. You also can see the flame that comes off of this. So I want to emphasize this is a significant step up from the other rockets that you've played with, and you can see by this video something that's very fun could be very dangerous. But at the same time, watch the video. Even though this is a low altitude, only 700 feet, the video gives you an idea of, one, how quickly it gets up to 700 feet, and really how high 700 feet looks when it's flying, because this thing gets pretty small real quick. And then if you decide to do the G, well, you're going, what do we say, almost 2.5 times the height. So enjoy it. Merry Christmas, and welcome to the hobby of rocketry.
Brad, can you take up your pads? Launching on. Does it running CTI? Does it run F59, dash 6. Okay, pad 7. Launching in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah!
Yay!
It did it! Huh?
There's a video camera on it. As you guys can hear it.
We did it! Oh God, it's going into the mud.
Okay, pad 3. Isabel, hold up your head. Thingamajig. Launching on. C64. Pad 3. Pad continuity. Launching in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.